We're the Meltdown here with yet another spoiler review, this time for another horror movie. It's been a horror heavy 2025 so far, and this one, I believe, in Hard Eyes, is the worst of the bunch. I am Tim Melton. That is Tyler Lionel Johns.
I love you, baby. But I hate this movie. This movie sucked.
I really despise the tone of this movie. It's not so bad. Like, I'm going to be referencing some movies that we've reviewed here recently. I'm not going to spoil any of those, but I'm going to at least give you a temperature check on where we were on those. It's not like so bad it's good like Werewolves. Like Werewolves last year was one of the most fun times I had in a movie theater.
It's so ridiculously just insane that you have to enjoy it. There's
Yeah,
no way you are sitting in your seat watching that werewolves movie and
right.
critiquing it as a serious movie.
It's like B movie horror that like it's fun, it's goofy, like you're laughing, but it's also like a great mix of just having some fun. It's not like this Hard Eyes movie is not satirical enough to be considered something like a scary movie.
I've seen that take as well, and I agree. It's not
No.
funny enough. It's not satirical enough. There's no what idea are they really poking fun at for it to be a satire?
Yeah, there's going to be like intellectual horror fans that defend Hard Eyes because they think, "Oh, it's actually just commentary on the entire genre and all the tropes and you guys just missed it because you don't watch slasher films or like slasher films."
I mean, I did think it was unapologetically tropey.
Unapologetically tropey, yes, and didn't take itself too seriously, yes, for sure, but
100%.
that doesn't immediately equal satire.
Yes.
Like, satire
Correct.
has a little bit of punch to it, and this one's a whimper. It's not scary. There are several scenes in this movie that just have long sequences of flickering lights, like and that is, like, lazy to me visually on screen. Like instead of trying to figure out how to make the character of Hard Eyes, the Hard Eyes killer, more menacing, let's just throw him in a police station where the lights are all flickering. Let's just throw him in a church where the lights are all flickering. Let's just throw him into settings where the lights are a constant gimmick the entire time that the character's on the screen.
Not only that, but in the police station, they mention, like, the power went out, generators going on. Why are the lights flickering then? That doesn't even make sense within the logic of the world
Right.
that it's set in.
Hard Eyes thinks it gets a pass because it casts some pretty characters or some pretty cast members that are getting on there. It's a Valentine's Day thing, so the
And
expect
they tell some jokes too, so nothing has to be serious at all.
none of the characters that are killed in this are likable. None of them.
No.
Like they're all goofy, unrealistic character, just absolute trying to profile people typically of a younger generation, trying to
Yeah.
make them vapid, and the opening engagement sequence is for me was cringy to watch.
I was cringing too, and I actually like some horror comedy. I'm a big fan of the Scary Movie franchise. I enjoyed Y2K that we got late in 2024. Um, this was just the worst attempt at humor I've ever seen, and so I was sitting there during that opening sequence thinking, "Man, if I'm cringing at this, Tim is being tortured right now."
Was
And, turns out I was right. You were all the way in the back row just wishing the hard eyes killer would,
yeah,
would stab you through the throat.
yeah. It was a very small amount of attendees in the audience to begin with. There were 5 of us, 6 of us, I think, 5 other people, 6 other people, I don't know. It was 5 or 6 people, and I almost walked out, you almost walked out, but we, like, stuck it out because we're here to talk about film on this channel,
Mhm.
and this is a waste of people's time and money in the worst type of way. There are certain characters that exist in this just to have a funny voice or just to be like
The, marketing director,
the marketing
that's,
director.
like, the number 1 culprit of this. It's like, let's just, like, I know it's funny, a Southern accent, but make her vulgar.
Yeah, exactly, and no laughs. I didn't hear a single laugh in the entire auditorium the entire runtime.
I mean, I chuckled a little bit when it was revealed that the detectives' names were Hobbs and Shaw, just because I think that's stupid. And also, one of the detectives was played by Devin Sawa, who's in one of my favorite movies, SLC Punk. Much better movie than the one we saw.
And that detective given nothing to do here on
Nothing to do.
screen.
No,
It's
nothing to do.
really quite ridiculous. The hard
Yeah.
eye killer's literally around the corner, and you're just kind of walking around acting nonchalant. None of it makes sense there. It isn't gruesomely, darkly funny enough
No.
either. Like there were way more laughs in Terrifier 3 than there were for this movie.
There
And
were
this
more
movie,
laughs in Companion.
yes. And have you ever seen the Thanos meme of like, perhaps I judged you too harshly?
Yeah.
Like, I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking about that with Companion. I'm thinking about that with Y2K. I'm thinking about that with Wolfman. And I know that Wolfman is not a great movie, but the first half of Wolfman I will take over any part of this.
Oh yeah, easily.
Like,
Easily.
Wolfman's been crapped on by a whole lot of people. It's already available for digital and it feels like it just came out. It just absolutely plummeted out of the top 10. But it at least takes itself serious enough to deliver something that has a little bit of bite. This one
I mean,
is
even the Pooniverse horror movies, which we have as a little bit of a running joke on the channel that I go to all of these and that you just refuse to see them. Those are all better movies than Guardians. Like,
those are sort of like, the audience is in on the joke, tongue in cheek, they know why we're doing these movies. We know
yeah,
why we're doing these movies. Let's have a good time. And this movie I did not have a good
this
time in.
movie feels like it treats the audience as the joke. It's ha ha, you
Yeah.
dumb idiots will go watch anything, regardless if we even put a coherent story or just enjoyable anything on screen.
It's got an awful soundtrack. It's got an awful sort of like when characters are in duress running away from the killer, they're still like just sort of laying there cracking jokes. And
Hmm.
this movie badly wants to be the original Scream. I mean, it really envies that movie and it wants to bring that same sort of feel to a newer generation. And
They did it without the writing of Wes Craven,
mhm,
without any of the talent in that movie,
yeah,
because you had top tier talent in the original Scream with Matthew Lillard and Nev Campbell,
heck, Drew Barrymore
Drew
killed off in the
Barrymore.
first 10 minutes.
Yes, and this just has none of it. Let's just say, what if we kind of recreate the idea and mix in about like five other ideas from other movies and just see if it works? And it's not balanced at all, so you end up with a movie that is neither scary nor
Right.
funny. I think Scream manages to be both scary and funny. I think Y2K isn't really scary, it's more funny, but it feels kinda muted on both genres. This feels like a complete swing, whiff, miss on both genres.
I completely agree with you. The action is ridiculous involving the Hard Eyes Killer, minus one sequence where he's going ham at the drive-in movie theater, and he's kind of got there's just like this one sequence where he's building momentum, he's getting some kills, he's got some aggression. You're
It felt
starting
like the scene was, like, getting a little bit of a rhythm.
Yeah, and I wanted to see that the entire time, and I did not. And the reveal of the killers. Like, obviously we're getting into spoilers here, but the reveal, those characters slash actors don't really line up with what we saw from the Hard Eyes Killer, which, whatever. That's one minor nitpick.
But it's so cool if you have the one killer actually be multiple people.
Nobody cared.
Remember when Scream did that? And it was really cool and interesting and creative and kind of revolutionized and brought energy in back into the horror genre?
Nobody cared about these killers. Like, nobody cares about these killers. Nobody's going to be thinking about their motivations. And
Man, I was struggling to remember who they were in the context of the movie.
yeah, when even the characters on screen don't know who they
Yeah,
are. They're like, remind us of who you are again. Yeah, I popped up for one scene a few minutes ago.
and I guess that is the joke, so I
Yeah,
guess, they did make a satire of horror movies. It's just a really terrible
right.
satire of horror
Then
movies.
they have to go through the screen thing where they then give all of their motivations and all their deep dark history of what has catapulted them into this lifestyle while then having to fight the those that have survived and they ultimately lose even though they had the upper hand. It's the same. This movie wants to be Scream so badly. And it sucks. I don't like this movie. I don't think it's funny. It promotes itself in its marketing material as a horror movie. I mean, Pretty much everything you see in the marketing material is what is the amount of horror in the actual movie itself. And it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, everybody, it's okay to disagree publicly with Rotten Tomatoes because this movie's doing well on Rotten Tomatoes. What do Tim and Tyler know? I mean, this thing's in the 80s on Rotten Tomatoes. This thing was up to 90 at one point. This thing's loved by everybody. No, there are a bunch of non horror journalists that watch this movie and go, what a refreshing thing. I thought I was going into a horror movie and I got a romantic comedy, and I'm so excited about that. I'm going to hold
I
on.
mean, it's the same people who were giving Your Monster a 100
Yeah,
last year. That movie was cheeks. That movie might have been worse than Hard Eyes.
right. The keyboard elitists,
Kind of, actually, no.
the keyboard elitists of our country are determining whether or not Hard Eyes is a good horror movie. And I'm telling you that I strongly believe it's not. Now, will this work for some people? It will. This movie will work for some people, especially those that feel like they have no other options on Valentine's Day and they just want to kind of go in and, oh, I kind of want to be scared. Like if you're on a first date in high school and you go see this movie and it's kind of got like an anticipation, not the worst possible movie you can see on a first date,
It yeah, it wouldn't, and I get the idea because when you want a horror movie to be that kind of date night movie, you don't want it to be a super over the top horror movie. You don't want it to be super dark. You're not taking
Yeah.
this girl you just met to go see Terrifier. You're not taking her to go see Seven or something like that. You want something kind of schlocky,
Yeah.
but also respects your time. Because if neither you nor your date are having a good time with this movie, kind of makes it a bad date, does it
Yeah.
not?
I think this is a perfect date movie for couples or new couples that don't care about what the movie is. Like that don't have standards of I want to go see a really good
Oh,
movie.
yeah, yeah. This is a good choice for the couple that wants to go to the theater on Valentine's, but not watch the movie.
Correct.
This is for the people who are on their phones during the
Yeah.
movie, who like to get up and go to the bathroom 4 times during a single showing. That kind of person.
Now, I want to get to final grades here because it's going to get into what I think is actually the best part of the movie, and that is some of the kill sequences and the way that they're executed. Like, I actually thought the head explosion that we get on the engagement was done really well. The practical effect was done really well. I think some of the work done with eyes in particular, because it is called Heart Eyes, there was a lot of kills involving the eyeball in this. I thought all of those were done really well. If you take this sort of kill design and you put it in a movie that is better, then people would be praising the kill design. I mean, it would be able to translate. It would be able to add something. So I can't give this thing a half of a star out of 5. It's got to be at least 1 star based on the kill design alone of the way in which some of these were pulled off. However, that's like the only good thing I can say about this movie. But I can't ding the team that was behind the design of the kills for this being an awful movie because it's got an awful script, awful editing, really bad like just momentum that consistently gets squandered. Um, really hate this movie, Tyler, but there is that redeeming quality of it. At least it's got some good kill designs. The problem is in the marketing, they showed what was the most infamous kill in this in the back of the van with, this couple, guy gets killed, she ends up getting killed. And they showed that in the marketing, every trailer they put out. And so that's coming in a 30-minute sequence where you know the other two are hiding out in the van and you know what's going to happen. Like there was no level of suspense there because you knew exactly how that was going to
And
play out.
and they also tried to that scene in the trailer. It's a very like it's like, "Oh, that must be one of the scariest parts of the movie." No, it's a stupid sex joke
Right,
in the actual movie.
right.
It doesn't do anything to actually, like,
With
execute
stoners,
on any level of tension or build it or make the audience feel anything other than just annoyed and furious that their time and money has been wasted by this movie.
yeah, no, this movie sucks. So I'm giving it a 1 out of 5. Tyler, I don't know if you will be as generous.
No,
What are you giving this movie?
half a star, and that's going to the visual effects team. Rest of the movie gets 0, not a single redeeming factor about any of it. Um, I would actually hack into Letterbox to give this 0 stars if it were possible. But when I'm reviewing something, I have to give it at least half a star. So, you know what? Half a star can go to the visual effects team because there were some decent kills. I'd say probably about on par with like the Scream TV show on MTV, if you ever saw that. But nothing to really write home about. Wish it was in any kind of better story than this one,
Yeah.
because this was just awful, nearly unwatchable. Cheeks out of 5. Avoid it like the plague.
It is a lazy affair for sure, and one that we cannot recommend here on The Meltdown. And it is a misjustice that Rotten Tomatoes has this as high as it does because there are people are going to be lured in from that little red tomato and that high percentage number, and they're going to be like, "What the holy heck is this?"
And this is why people stop going to the movies because they go to the biggest website for movie reviews and they say, "Oh, well it's got a near perfect grade. Let me go to it." And it's an absolute garbage pile.
Mhm.
And then they say, "Well, I guess the Hollywood elite or whatever word they choose to use is just out of touch and they don't know what real people want to actually watch."
People don't ever really want to be associated with being on the losing team or the wrong team. So there are people that are going to like this movie and defend it just simply because
Mhm.
they feel like that's the popular sentiment. Oh, everybody loves this movie, so I love it too.
I've got to be right about this movie. My taste has got to be good.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, you're on the right side of history if you join us in basically disavowing everything about this movie.
I won't even say right side of history. If you enjoy it, go enjoy it.
Sure.
More props to you if you are able to enjoy it.
But if you're one of those people who clearly internally you're struggling with like, why does everybody love this movie? Oh yeah, I love it. If you're one of those people who doesn't
You
genuinely
have
enjoy it,
kindred spirits over here.
I'm saying join forces.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, look, film is subjective. You can like what you like, hate what you hate. Like, that's fine. Tyler and I both hate this movie. You may love it.
Hmm.
Okay. Your standards, we understand. No, I'm kidding. But
No,
if you're one of those people that's faking it, like maybe your Valentine's Day, maybe you're faking that. Maybe you're like, I don't really want to be with this person, but you know what? I'm with them because it's easy and simple to just, it's better to go along with the flow. That's what this movie's like. It's like faking a relationship, and you don't have to fake your love if you are someone that hates this movie because you're not alone, I promise you.
find the one that's out there for you. Your one
Yeah.
true movie soulmate.
We have found our betting soulmate, and that is my bookie at mybookie.ag. You can bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. Make sure you use that promo code next round for that first time deposit bonus where you can play there in the sports book, or who knows, maybe you want to go to that live casino and test your luck there. You can do so at mybookie.ag. Use promo code next round. Never miss a Meltdown movie review with subscriptions being something that you add here from the Meltdown. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that little bell so you're notified when we go live and when we have new content. Tyler's seeing stuff all the time. I'm a little bit more selective, and I hate that one of my selections was this movie, Heart Eyes, which was abysmal. Hope your heart isn't broken this Valentine's Day, and thank you for your support of the Meltdown.